He woke to purple hands around his throat, but the desperation in her eyes made him freeze instead of fight. He woke to purple hands around his throat, but the desperation in her eyes made him freeze instead of fight. Kade's training screamed at him. Break the grip. Throat strike. Disable the threat. He didn't move. Purple skin. Humanoid but wrong, proportions slightly off, fingers too long, joints bending at angles that made his brain itch. Her eyes were massive, almost twice the size of human, with irises like fractured amber catching emergency lighting. Vertical pupils blown wide with panic. Her grip trembled. Weak. Barely any pressure despite the position. Please, her voice cracked. Don't call them, don't, she swayed. Her hands slipped from his throat. Kade caught her before she hit the deck. She weighed almost nothing. Muscle and bone, no extra mass. Her skin burned against his palms, fever-hot. When she gasped, he heard the rattle in her lungs. Easy, he lowered her carefully. Easy, I'm not calling anyone. Her eyes tracked him with fading focus. Liar, probably smart not to trust me. He kept his hands visible. But you just tried to strangle me in my own med bay, so we're even. Her laugh turned into a cough. Wet. Wrong. The pod behind her stood open, frost still clinging to the interior seals. His med bay. His ship. He'd been in stasis for 3 weeks during the long haul to Meridian Station. He should have been alone. Who are you? He asked. Dying, she slumped against the pod. I'm dying. Yeah, I can see that. Kade moved slowly, reaching for the wall panel. Let me run diagnostics. No, she lunged, grabbed his wrist. Her grip was still weak but desperate. No ship systems, no transmissions, they're tracking. Who's tracking? Everyone. Her eyes closed. I'm sorry, I didn't think you'd wake early. Was just supposed to hide. Get to Meridian, disappear. Kade looked at her. Really looked. Purple skin darkening to charcoal at her joints. Black hair matted with sweat. The clothes she wore were shredded, makeshift bandages covering her arms. She'd been living rough. Weeks, probably. You've been in my cargo bay, he said. Yes, for how long? 23 days. She opened her eyes. Stowed away at Desperation Station, after you left inspection. Didn't think. Another cough cut her off. Kade did the math. 3 weeks in stasis, his ship running automated. She'd been surviving in cargo hold cold storage, atmospheric processors not calibrated for her biology. No wonder she was dying. What's your name? Niara. Her voice barely registered. And I know what you're thinking. What am I thinking? That turning me in gets you salvage rights, reward money. Her hand fell away from his wrist. Do it, but wait until I'm gone. The spores won't activate if I die in vacuum. Just space me first. Kade stared. Spores, Niara's expression crumbled. Not pain, worse, resignation. You don't know. Her laugh was broken glass. Of course you don't. Why would they tell civilians? Tell me what? She met his eyes. My species. When we die in atmosphere, we release spores. Xenoforming agent. Transforms entire biospheres to match our world's conditions. Her breathing hitched. 3 months, that's how long it takes. Converts oxygen nitrogen to chlorine methane. Kills everything that breathes your air. The words landed like a punch. You're a biological weapon. I'm a person. Her voice sharpened despite the weakness. But yes, my species was modified 4 generations ago. Military program. We were supposed to be able to terraform hostile worlds for colonization. She looked away. Instead, we became too dangerous to let live. Kade's mind raced. Meridian Station has a human colony, 200,000 people. I know. If you die there, I know, she gasped, then forced herself steady. That's why I was trying to get off station before I couldn't anymore. Before what? Niara pulled down the bandage on her left arm. Purple skin turning gray. Black veins spreading from a puncture wound, branching like lightning toward her heart. I was poisoned. Kyre toxin, 12 weeks ago. Her voice went flat. Designed to kill us slowly. When I die, the death triggers spore release. Automatic. I was sent to Meridian to detonate. Kade's stomach dropped. Sent by who? I don't know, woke up with this. She touched the wound. In a safe house on Vesper. My handler was dead. His files were erased. All I had was a transport manifest with Meridian as destination and instructions to wait. Instructions for what? To die. Her eyes were hollow. I ran instead. Found your ship. Figured if I could get to Meridian first, warn them, evacuate. But I'm dying faster than I thought. Weeks, maybe days left. And if I die anywhere near a populated world, she didn't finish. Didn't need to. Kade stood. Started pacing. This was insane. He'd signed up for a simple cargo run, not biological warfare. There has to be an antidote, he said. There is. He stopped. Where? Halen IV. Medical Research Facility. Niara's breathing worsened. But it requires dual biometric access. Human and Kalyri. Both species' DNA to unlock the synthesis protocols. Why? Because whoever made this wanted to make sure we couldn't save ourselves. Bitterness dripped from every word. And humans wouldn't help us. We're designated threats. Your governments have kill-on-site orders. Kade looked at her, really looked. She was maybe 25 standard years, dying from poison meant to turn her into a bomb. Alone, terrified. How long to Halen IV? Niara blinked. What? How long? He moved to the console, started pulling up charts. From our current position, how long? 6 days at maximum burn. Her voice cracked. But you can't. I can. Kade met her eyes. And I will. Because you're dying on my ship, and I'm not letting 200,000 people get killed because I turned around. They'll kill you. The people hunting me. Then we don't get caught. He pulled up the nav data. Halen IV, Medical District. We get in, synthesize the antidote, get out. Why? Niara's voice broke. Why would you help me? Kade paused. Good question. Because 3 months ago, I watched Vesper Station detonate their science quarter. 1,500 researchers. They said it was a reactor malfunction. He looked at her. Was it? Her expression answered before her words did. No, someone inside triggered spore release. My people were blamed. They scorched the whole district to contain it. So someone's already using your species as weapons. Yes. And whoever poisoned you is probably the same person. Yes, Kade nodded. Then we stop them, starting with keeping you alive. Niara stared at him like he'd grown a second head. You don't even know me. Don't need to. He pulled up the ship's medical database. I know you tried to warn people instead of running. That's enough. She opened her mouth, closed it. Finally, I could be lying. You're not. How do you know? Because if you wanted to kill people, you'd have stayed on Meridian. Kade glanced at her. Instead, you're dying in my cargo hold trying to get away from them. That tells me everything I need. Silence stretched between them. Then Niara sagged. Okay, 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 help me. Her voice steadied. But if I start dying before we reach Halen, if I can't hold on, you have to space me. Promise. Kade looked at the woman who tried to strangle him 5 minutes ago and was now asking him to kill her if necessary. Promise, he said. It was probably the stupidest thing he'd ever agreed to. The ship's AI chimed. Alert, the synthetic voice announced. Atmospheric contamination detected in cargo bay. Foreign biological signature identified. Recommend immediate quarantine protocols. Kade swore. Override. Authorization Kade 77 Delta. Override accepted. However, regulations require. Aria. He used the AI's designation. What's the contamination? Analyzing. Pause. Spore precursors. Low concentration. Estimated time to full release, 9 days, 7 hours. Niara's breath caught. 9 days. Less than the time to Halen IV. Can you filter them? Kade asked. Negative. Spore precursors are microscopic and chemically inert until activation. Standard filtration insufficient. Recommendation: evacuate to escape pod and trigger ship self-destruct. Not happening. Kade pulled up atmospheric controls. What about containment? Medical bay can be sealed. atmosphere independently controlled. However, passenger Niara requires treatment that Medical Bay is not equipped to provide. What treatment? Species Kalyri require chlorine trace atmosphere. Current oxygen-nitrogen mixture is toxic over prolonged exposure. Estimated time to respiratory failure, 48 hours. Kade looked at Niara. She looked back. We have 48 hours before you suffocate, he said. 60 before the poison kills me anyway. And 9 days before you detonate. Yes, he laughed, couldn't help it. Well, at least we have a deadline. Niara actually smiled. Small, broken, but real. At least we have a deadline, she echoed. Kade moved to the med bay controls. Arya, can you synthesize a chlorine supplement? Something to buy us time. Affirmative. Medical synthesizer can produce chlorine trace gas cartridges. Passenger Niara would need to inhale every 4 hours to maintain respiratory function. Do it. Make as many as you can. Acknowledged. Niara struggled to sit up. You should put me back in cryo. Maybe that would slow the poison. Can't risk it. Your body's already compromised. Kade offered his hand. She took it, let him pull her upright. Her skin was furnace hot against his palm. Besides, we need you conscious. You're the only one who knows what we're walking into. I've never been to Halen IV, but you know your people's biology, medical protocols, what to expect. He guided her toward the crew quarters. That makes you the expert. She leaned on him more than she probably wanted to. Her weight was almost nothing, but he could feel her shaking. You're going to regret this, she said quietly. Probably. I'm dangerous. I noticed. I tried to kill you. Barely. He glanced down at her. Your grip was terrible. That startled a laugh out of her, then a cough. Then silence as he helped her into the quarters. The room was standard crew bunk. Narrow bed, storage locker, private bathroom. She stared at it like she'd never seen anything so luxurious. When's the last time you slept in a bed? Kade asked. 6 weeks. Her voice went distant. Before everything started. He could see it now, the hollowness in her cheeks, the way her clothes hung loose. She'd been running for 6 weeks on nothing. Get some rest, he said. I'll set course for Halen IV and prep supplies. Kade, he paused at the door. Thank you, her massive eyes met his, for not spacing me immediately. Day's not over yet, he said, but he smiled. She didn't smile back, just watched him with an expression he couldn't quite read. He left before it could get heavier. The cockpit was exactly as he'd left it before stasis. 3 weeks ago and a lifetime. He dropped into the pilot's seat, started running pre-flight. Arya, how many ships between us and Halen IV? Current trajectory passes through 2 trade lanes and 1 military patrol route. Estimated traffic. Moderate. Can we avoid the patrol route? Yes, however, deviation adds 19 hours to journey time. 9 days minus 19 hours. Still enough time. Barely. Do it, Kade said, and run passive scans. I want to know if anyone's following us. Acknowledged. May I inquire about our passenger? What about her? She is flagged as a threat-class biological entity in 17 government databases. Harboring her is a capital offense in 9 jurisdictions. Your point. I am programmed to prioritize crew safety. Statistically, the safest course of action is to turn her over to authorities. Kade's hands stilled on the controls. Arya, whose ship is this? Yours, Captain. And who makes the decisions? Pause. You do, Captain. Then trust me. He resumed pre-flight. We're getting her to Halen IV. As you wish. The AI's tone shifted, almost thoughtful. For the record, Captain, I calculate a 73% chance that this endeavor will result in criminal charges, ship impound, or death. What about the other 27%? Unknown variables. However, they include scenarios where passenger Niara survives and 200,000 colonists do not die. Kade nodded. Then we take those odds. Acknowledged. The engines hummed to life. Kade plotted the course, locked it in, and initiated burn. 6 days to Halen IV. 60 hours until Niara suffocated. 9 days until she detonated. And somewhere out there, someone was hunting her. The smart move would have been to turn around, dump her at the nearest station, walk away. Kade initiated maximum burn instead. They jumped to FTL 3 minutes later. Behind them, Vesper Station receded into the black. Ahead, Halen IV waited with answers or death. Probably death. But at least they'd have company. 4 hours into the burn, Arya chimed. "Captain, passenger Niara requires chlorine supplement." Kade found her in the crew quarters, curled on the bed, breathing in shallow gasps. "Hey," he knelt beside the bunk, "need your medicine." She opened one eye. "Not medicine." "Close enough." He held up the small cartridge. "Arya synthesized it. You breathe it in, buys you another 4 hours." Niara took the cartridge with shaking hands, pressed it to her mouth, inhaled. The change was immediate. Color flooded back into her purple skin. Her breathing steadied. The trembling eased. "Better?" Kade asked. "Better." She lowered the cartridge. "How many of these do we have?" 43. "Arya's making more." "That's not enough for 6 days. Then we get to Halen IV in less than 6 days." He sat on the edge of the bunk. "How are you feeling? Besides the obvious." "Like I've been poisoned and slowly dying for 3 months." She managed a smile. "So normal, normal's relative." "True." She shifted, trying to sit up. Winced. "Don't." Kade steadied her. "You need rest." "Can't. Need to tell you about Halen IV, about what we're walking into." "Arya can give me the layout." Arya doesn't know about the security protocols, the biometric locks, the fail-safes. Niara's eyes locked onto his. "This facility was designed to prevent species like mine from accessing antidotes. It's going to fight us every step." Kade nodded. "Then talk. What do I need to know?" She took a breath. Another hit from the cartridge. Then started. Halen IV Medical Facility is a black site. Officially, it doesn't exist. It's where they developed the Kalyri xenoforming modifications 4 generations ago, where they built the kill switches into our DNA. Her voice hardened. "And where they keep the antidotes, just in case they ever need to save one of us." "Why would they need to save you if you're weapons?" "Because weapons are valuable. If they can control who lives and dies, they control my entire species." She looked away. "We're not people to them. We're assets." Kade felt something cold settle in his gut. "How many of your people know about this place?" "A few. Most of my species don't even know we were modified. The government keeps it classified. Easier to hate us if they think we're naturally dangerous." "So you're telling me we're breaking into a black site medical facility that technically doesn't exist to steal an antidote that proves your species was deliberately turned into bioweapons?" "Yes. And if we succeed, we prove a conspiracy that at least 17 governments want to keep buried." "Yes." Kade laughed. "This is a terrible plan. I know. We're probably going to die." "I know." He met her eyes. Those massive amber eyes with vertical pupils, alien and exhausted and refusing to break. "Worth it anyway?" he asked. "Yes," no hesitation. "Then we do it." He stood. "Get some rest, 4 hours until your next dose." "Kade," he turned. "Why are you really doing this?" Her voice was soft. "You don't know me, I'm not even human. And you're risking everything." He thought about that. About Vesper Station burning. About 1,500 people killed to cover up something bigger. About a woman so desperate she tried to strangle him rather than risk detonating near innocence. "Because someone has to," he said finally. "And right now, that's me." Niara's expression shifted, something fragile and fierce. "Thank you. Thank me when we don't die." He left before she could argue. The cockpit felt colder than before. "Arya," he said quietly, "run deep background on Vesper Station detonation, medical district, 3 months ago." "That investigation is sealed, Captain." "Unseal it. Use my old access codes if you have to." Pause. "Captain, your old access codes indicate military intelligence clearance. I was unaware." "Yeah, well, now you are." He stared at the view screen. "Stars streaking past in FTL. Pull everything you can find." Acknowledged. Another pause. Captain, may I ask what you expect to find? Proof that Niara's telling the truth. His hands clenched. Or proof that I'm about to die for a lie. And if it is a lie, Kade didn't answer. Processing, Arya said finally. Preliminary results available in 1 hour. 1 hour. Kade leaned back, closed his eyes, and waited. Behind him, the ship hummed with life support, engines, and the slow countdown to either salvation or catastrophe. 9 days, 60 hours, 6 days of travel. The math wasn't adding up. They'd have to move fast. The data came through in fragments. Classified reports with half the words redacted. Witness statements that contradicted official records. Security footage that conveniently glitched during critical moments. But enough pieces remained to build a picture. Desperation Station Medical District. 1,700 personnel, 12 of them Kalyri, working on joint research projects. 3 months ago, spore contamination detected. 7 minutes later, the entire district was scorched. Protocol demanded quarantine and analysis. Someone ordered immediate sterilization instead. 1,500 people burned alive. The official report blamed it on Kalyri researcher Dr. Jean. Claimed she intentionally released spores after a dispute with colleagues. The security footage showed something else. Kade watched it 3 times. Dr. Jean entering her lab, normal work, no unusual behavior. Then the contamination alarm. Dr. Jean's expression, confusion, not guilt. She ran toward the exit. Someone sealed it from outside. She pounded on the door, screaming. Her mouth forming words the silent footage couldn't capture. Then fire. Kade stopped the playback. Arya, who authorized the seal. Station Commander Yaren, human, retired military. And the burn order came through external channels, source encrypted. Time stamp, 4 minutes before contamination detected. Kade's blood went cold. They'd given the order before the alarm. Arya pulled Dr. Jean's research files. Files deleted. However, backup cache recovered from station database shows her active projects. A list appeared. Xenoforming reversal protocols, antidote synthesis, spore deactivation methods. Dr. Jean had been trying to cure her people. Someone killed her for it. Cross-reference Dr. Jean's contacts, Kade said. Anyone who worked with her. Anyone who might have known about her research. The list was short. 11 names. 10 were marked deceased, various dates, various causes, all within the last 6 months. The 11th name was highlighted. Niara Jaren, research assistant. Status missing. Kade stared at the screen. Niara. She'd worked with Dr. Jean. She knew about the research, the antidotes, the conspiracy, and someone wanted her dead before she could talk. Captain, Arya said quietly, I believe passenger Niara is not simply a victim. She is a witness. To what? To whoever is systematically eliminating Kalyri who know about the xenoforming modification process. Pause. And possibly using other Kalyri as weapons to justify continued extermination protocols. It clicked into place. Someone was using Niara's people as both scapegoats and bombs. Kill them. Blame them for the deaths. Justify more killings. A closed loop of genocide. Arya, can you trace the poison used on Niara? Kyre toxin requires specialized synthesis. Only 3 facilities in known space have capability to produce it. Which facilities? Halen IV Medical Research. Desperation Station Medical District, now destroyed. Correct, and Site 7, a military black site, location classified. So whoever poisoned Niara had access to black site weapons. Or black site personnel. Kade sat back. This wasn't just a conspiracy. This was government-sanctioned genocide with someone inside running the operation. And they'd sent Niara to Meridian to detonate as proof that her species couldn't be trusted. He needed to tell her, but first he needed to keep her alive. Arya, how long until Halen IV? 5 days, 11 hours at current speed. Can we go faster? Not without damaging engines. And we'll need them intact for escape. Kade nodded. What about defense systems, weapons? This vessel has standard civilian armament, 2-point defense cannons, 1 missile bay, limited ammunition. Against what? Against 3 possible pursuit vectors I'm tracking. Kade's stomach dropped. What? 3 ships altered course approximately 2 hours ago. New vectors converge with ours. Estimated intercept, 19 hours. Military, unmarked. However, drive signatures match mercenary-class hunters. Bounty hunters. Someone knew Niara was on his ship. How? Kade demanded. We're running silent, no transmissions. Speculation. Biological tracker. Implanted during poisoning event. Kade swore. Can we remove it? Without medical equipment? No, tracker is likely neurochemical. Removing it would require surgery beyond this ship's capabilities. Which meant they couldn't hide. Options? Kade asked. 1. Fight. Low probability of success. 3-to-1 odds. 2. Attempt to lose them in stellar phenomena. Nearest debris field is 12 hours ahead. However, doing so adds 17 hours to travel time, which puts us past Niara's suffocation deadline. Correct. 3. Jettison passenger Niara and hope they follow her instead of us. Not happening. Then we fight, Arya said. Or we run and accept that passenger Niara will likely die before reaching Halen IV. Kade closed his eyes. Fight 3 ships with civilian weapons and minimal ammo. Or run and watch Niara suffocate. Arya, if we fight, what are our actual odds? 17% survival probability if all 3 ships engage simultaneously. 41% if we can isolate and eliminate targets individually. How do we do that? Unknown. Would require tactical advantage or significant deception. Tactical advantage. Kade looked at the star charts. 3 ships closing. 19 hours. He had an idea, terrible idea, but it might work. Arya, plot course adjustment. Make it look like we're running toward the debris field. They will follow. Exactly. He started running calculations. And when they commit to pursuit, we flip trajectory. Hard burn toward Halen IV. They'll overshoot, have to course correct. Buys us time. And when they catch up, then we fight. He met the AI's sensor cluster. 1 at a time if we're lucky. Captain, this is exceptionally dangerous. Everything about this is exceptionally dangerous. He stood. Prep the weapons systems. And tell me when we're 12 hours from the debris field. Acknowledged. Kade headed toward crew quarters. Time to tell Niara they were being hunted, and that their odds of survival had just dropped to near 0. He found her awake, staring at the ceiling. The cartridge rested on her chest, her hand wrapped around it like a lifeline. Can't sleep, he asked. Too much to think about. She turned her head. We're being followed, aren't we? Kade stopped. How did you know? Because I've been running for 6 weeks. I know what pursuit feels like. Her smile was bitter. How many? 3 ships, mercenaries. They'll intercept in 19 hours. 3. She closed her eyes. They're serious. You knew they'd come. I hoped they wouldn't find me in time. She inhaled from the cartridge. Guess I was wrong. Kade sat on the edge of the bunk. Niara, I need to tell you something. I know you're going to jettison me. What? No. He caught her hand. I'm not jettisoning you. She looked at their joined hands. You should. Well, I'm not. He squeezed gently. But I did find something. About Desperation Station. About Dr. Jean. Her expression shifted. You knew her? No, but I know she was trying to cure your species, and I know someone killed her for it. He held her gaze. You worked with her. Not a question. Niara's breath caught. How did you? Arya pulled records. Your name was on the research team. He leaned forward. What were you working on? Reversal protocols. Her voice was barely audible. We were trying to undo the modifications. Give my people normal lifespans. Remove the spore production. Let us be. She trailed off. Human, Kade offered. No, just, not weapons. He understood. Dr. Jean found something, Niara continued. A flaw in the original modification. A way to disable spore production without killing us. She was synthesizing the treatment when Her voice broke. When they burned the station. Yes, tears tracked down her purple skin. I survived because I wasn't there. I'd gone to get supplies. When I came back, everything was… She couldn't finish. Kade pulled her into a hug, awkward, unpracticed, but necessary. She didn't resist, just pressed her face against his shoulder and shook silently. They poisoned you to finish the job, he said quietly. Sent you to Meridian to prove Kalyri are too dangerous. Justify more killings. I know, but we're going to stop them. How? She pulled back, those massive eyes red-rimmed. 3 ships are hunting us, I'm dying. And even if we reach Halen IV, the facility will fight us. Then we fight back. He met her gaze. Together, you keep saying that together, but you don't owe me anything. Maybe not. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. But I'm choosing this anyway. Why? Because she'd tried to warn people instead of running. Because someone needed to stand against genocide. Because she was dying and scared and still fighting. Because looking at her made something in his chest ache. Because it's right, he said. Niara searched his face. Looking for the lie, the angle, the ulterior motive. She wouldn't find one. You're insane, she whispered. Probably. We're going to die. Probably. But you're not walking away. No, she kissed him, soft, desperate, tasting like chlorine and salt. Kade froze, then responded, one hand cupping her face, careful of her fragile state. When she pulled back, her expression was raw. If I die, she said, I want to know I chose this. Chose you. Chose to fight. You're not dying. Promise me. Her fingers tangled in his shirt. If I can't hold on, if we don't make it, promise you'll finish this. Expose them. Make sure my people know what was done to us. Niara, promise. He looked at her, at the determination beneath the fear. The strength despite the poison. I promise, he said, but you're going to be there when we do it. Optimist. Realist. He stood, pulled her up. Come on, I need to show you something. He brought her to the cockpit, showed her the star charts. The 3 ships, the debris field, his plan. She studied it in silence. It's risky, she said finally. Very. If they catch us, they won't. How can you be sure? Because I used to do this for a living. He glanced at her. Military intelligence, tactical operations. Before I went civilian. Her eyes widened. You're former military? Former. He stressed the word. I got out after Desperation Station. Didn't like the way orders were coming down. What orders? Ones that involved burning stations full of civilians. Understanding dawned. You refused. I quit. He turned back to the charts. But I still remember how to fight. Niara was quiet for a long moment. Then, teach me. What? Teach me to fight. She straightened despite the obvious pain. I'm not going to be deadweight. If we're doing this together, I need to pull my weight. You can barely stand. Then teach me what I can do. Her jaw set. I'm Kalyri. We're stronger than humans. Faster reflexes. Better spatial awareness. I just need to know how to use it. Kade looked at her. Really looked. She was dying. Poisoned. Running on borrowed time and chlorine cartridges, and she wanted to fight. Okay, he said. But we start slow. No time for slow. Then we start smart. He pulled up the weapon systems. You know how to shoot? Point and pull trigger? Close enough. He walked her through the basics. Targeting, firing solutions. When to shoot and when to wait. She absorbed it like a sponge. What else? She asked. Hand to hand. He demonstrated blocks, strikes, how to use her greater strength without telegraphing. You won't have the endurance for extended combat, so make it fast. Brutal, end the fight in seconds. I can do brutal. I noticed. He smiled despite himself. You did try to strangle me. I said I was sorry. No, you didn't. Didn't I? She smiled back, small but real. It changed her face, made her look younger. Less like a weapon and more like a person who'd had that stolen from her. Arya, Kade said. How long until intercept? 18 hours, 14 minutes. Then we have time. He looked at Niara. Get some rest. Real rest this time. I'll wake you when we're close. I should rest. He guided her back toward quarters. You need your strength. So do you. I'll sleep in shifts. He paused at her door. Niara, yes. For what it's worth, I'm glad you stowed away on my ship. Her expression softened. For what it's worth, so am I. She closed the door. Kade stood there for a moment, then headed back to the cockpit. Arya, he said quietly, I'm going to get her to Halen IV. I am aware, Captain, even if it kills me. I am also aware of that. Pause. For what it's worth, Captain, I calculate that passenger Niara has a 29% higher survival probability with your assistance than without. And me. Your survival probability has decreased by 47% since taking her aboard. Kade laughed. Worth it? That is a matter of perspective. Yeah. He dropped into the pilot's seat. It is. Outside, the stars streamed past. Somewhere behind them, 3 ships hunted. Ahead, Halen IV waited with antidotes or answers or both. And in crew quarters, a dying woman slept, trusting him to keep his promise. Kade had 18 hours to figure out how. 12 hours later, the plan went sideways. Captain, Arya announced. Pursuing vessels are accelerating. New intercept time, 6 hours. 6, Kade snapped awake. He dozed for maybe 3 hours, leaving Arya on watch. They were 19 hours out. They've increased to maximum burn. Apparently they decided to close distance rather than wait for our course change. Can we outrun them? Negative. They have military-grade engines. We do not, Kade swore. Wake Niara. Already done, Captain. Niara stumbled into the cockpit moments later, still half asleep, cartridge pressed to her mouth. What's happening? She asked between breaths. They're coming early. Kade pulled up tactical. 3 ships, now clearly visible on scans. 6 hours until intercept. We can't outrun them. Niara studied the display. Then we can't use the debris field tactic. No, and we can't fight 3-on-1. No, she was quiet for a moment. Then, what if we only fight one? Kade looked at her. What? Look at their formation. They're traveling in a triangle. Lead ship ahead, 2 flanking. She pointed. If we target the lead, the other 2 will close to assist. But there's a 40-second window before they can provide effective fire support. 40 seconds isn't enough to disable a ship. No, but it's enough to cripple them. She met his eyes. We don't need to win, we just need to make them hesitate. Kade followed her logic. If we hurt the lead ship badly enough, the other 2 will slow down to assess. Maybe peel off to assist. She nodded. Buys us time to run. Or they get angry and hit us harder. True. Her smile was grim, but we're dead anyway if we don't try. She wasn't wrong. Arya, Kade said. Can we execute this? Uncertain. Requires precise timing. However, I calculate a 61% chance of moderate success if we commit fully to the first strike. 61%. Better than 17. Do it, Kade said. Plot firing solution for the lead ship. Everything we've got. Missiles, cannons, everything. Acknowledged. Niara moved to the weapons station. What do you need me to do? Fire control. Arya will line up the shots, but you'll need to authorize and execute. He showed her the console. Green means locked. Red means miss. Only fire when everything's green. Got it. And Niara? Yeah. Don't hesitate. These people are trying to kill us. I know, her jaw set. I won't. The next 5 hours were the longest of Kade's life. They watched the ships close. Watched the distance shrink from millions of kilometers to hundreds of thousands to tens of thousands. At 30,000 kilometers, the lead ship hailed them. Kade ignored it. At 20,000, they fired a warning shot across his bow. Incoming, Arya announced. Plasma bolt, no damage. Hold course, Kade said. Captain, they're demanding we stop engines and prepare to be boarded. Tell them we're experiencing technical difficulties. They're not accepting that. I don't care. At 15,000 kilometers, Arya spoke. Weapons locked. All systems green. Kade looked at Niara. Ready? Her hands hovered over the fire controls. Ready, on my mark. He watched the distance tick down. 10,000, 9,000, 8,000. The lead ship fired again. This time not a warning. "Shields holding," Arya reported. 60% capacity. 7,000 kilometers. "Mark!" Niara's hands slammed down. The ship bucked as missiles launched. Both point defense cannons screamed, everything firing at once. Kade saw the lead ship's shields flare, hold, then collapse under sustained fire. One missile got through, then another. "Direct hits," Arya confirmed. "Lead ship's drive section compromised. They're venting atmosphere." "Did we kill them?" "Negative, but they're disabled. Other 2 ships are," she paused. "They're slowing. Flanking vessels are breaking formation." "Are they coming for us?" "Negative. They're moving to assist the lead ship." Niara laughed, breathless and shocked. "It worked. Don't celebrate yet." Kade initiated maximum burn. "Arya, how much time did we buy?" "Estimated 4 hours before they resume pursuit, likely with increased aggression." 4 hours. It wasn't enough. Not nearly, but it was something. "Course locked for Halen IV," Arya continued. "However, Captain, I must inform you of a complication." Of course there was. What complication? "Halen IV system has an active security perimeter, military patrol ships. We will be intercepted before reaching the medical facility." "Can we talk our way through?" "Uncertain. However, passenger Niara is flagged in their system. They will attempt to take her into custody." Which meant they'd never reach the antidote. "Arya, find me a back door. Some way to reach the planet's surface without going through checkpoints." "Searching." Pause. "There is one option. Abandoned mining colony on Halen IV's southern continent. No active patrols. However, the medical facility is on the northern continent. Approximately 3,000 kilometers overland." 3,000 kilometers, on a planet, while being hunted. "Do we have a choice?" Kade asked. "No, Captain. Then we do it." He looked at Niara. "Can you walk 3,000 kilometers? Can you?" "Fair point." He pulled up the planet's geography. "Arya, what's the terrain?" "Mountainous, heavily forested, multiple river systems. Wildlife classification, dangerous." "Of course it is." Niara leaned over his shoulder, studying the map. "There," she pointed. "That valley runs northwest, should take us within 50 kilometers of the facility. 50 kilometers through dangerous wildlife while being hunted by mercenaries and military. You have a better idea?" "No." "Then we walk." She straightened. "How long until we reach Halen IV?" 4 days, 17 hours, Arya said. "However, I feel obligated to note that passenger Niara's chlorine cartridge supply will be exhausted in 4 days, 3 hours. 14 hours short." Kade met Niara's eyes. She smiled. "Then we move fast." They spent the next 4 days planning. Kade pulled every piece of survival gear he had: rations, water filtration, med kits, 2 pistols with limited ammunition, 1 combat knife. Niara studied the terrain maps until she could draw them from memory. "The valley narrows here," she said, pointing. "Natural choke point. If they're tracking us, they'll set an ambush there. So we avoid it. And take the mountain pass," she shook her head. "Add 6 hours, I won't have the chlorine. Then we find another way." "There isn't one," they argued, planned, argued more, and in the gaps between something shifted. Small moments. Niara falling asleep against his shoulder while studying maps. Kade catching himself watching her breathe, counting each inhale to make sure it came. Her hand finding his during a particularly close call with the pursuing ships. His fingers threading through her hair while she dozed, marveling at how soft it was. On the 3rd day, she asked, "What will you do after this?" "After we don't die." "After we don't die," she smiled. "Will you go back to cargo runs?" "I don't know," he looked at her. "What will you do? Assuming I'm still alive." She was quiet for a long moment. "Find my people, tell them the truth, give them the antidote if we can replicate it." "That's assuming the antidote works." "It'll work." "How do you know?" "Because Dr. Jean was brilliant." Her voice softened. "And because I have to believe it will." Kade understood faith born of desperation. "When this is over," he said carefully. "You'll need help distributing the treatment." "I know. I could help, if you want." She turned to look at him, those massive amber eyes searching his face. "You'd do that. Leave your life behind to help my people." "What life?" He gestured at the ship. "Cargo runs and isolation. That's not a life. That's hiding. From what? From caring." The words came out more honest than he intended. "After Vesper Station, I stopped caring. Easier that way, safer. And now I care." He met her gaze. "About this, about you. About making sure the people who did this pay." Niara's breath caught. "Kade, you don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know." She kissed him instead, longer this time, deeper, her hands tangling in his hair, his arms pulling her close despite knowing she was fragile, dying, might not survive the week. When they broke apart, both breathless, she whispered, "Don't let me die before I get to keep you." "Deal." He rested his forehead against hers. "Don't let me die before I figure out what you taste like without chlorine." She laughed. "Deal." They held each other while the ship hurtled toward Halen IV and uncertain futures. Outside, the pursuing ships had regrouped, now only 2 hours behind. Arya was silent, letting them have the moment. Some things even an AI understood. They reached Halen IV at 300 ship time. Kade brought them in low, skimming the atmosphere, using terrain to mask their approach. The abandoned mining colony was exactly as advertised. Empty, rusting equipment, collapsed structures, no life signs. Perfect. He sat down in a clearing surrounded by dense forest. "Arya," he said, "after we disembark, I want you to make noise. Run away from the facility. Make them chase you." "Captain, that will leave you without escape." "I know, but it'll also split their attention." He started suiting up. "How long can you evade them?" "Uncertain. My piloting capabilities are adequate but not exceptional. Just buy us time." "Acknowledged." Pause. "Captain, for what it's worth, it has been an honor serving with you." "Don't talk like that. This isn't goodbye." "Of course not, Captain." But her tone said otherwise. Kade grabbed the gear. 2 packs, weapons. 53 remaining chlorine cartridges. Niara was waiting by the airlock, already breathing her current dose. "Ready?" he asked. "No," she smiled. "But let's go anyway." The airlock cycled. Halen IV's air hit them like a wall. Humid, heavy, oxygen-rich compared to standard ship atmosphere. Niara gasped, immediately struggling. Kade handed her another cartridge. "Slow breaths, let it adjust." She nodded, inhaling the chlorine mix, color returning to her skin. They moved into the forest. Behind them, the ship's engines cycled up. Arya was already executing the distraction. The ship lifted, banked hard, disappeared over the tree line running north. Moments later, Kade heard the distinctive sound of pursuit engines. 2 ships, maybe 3, following Arya. "It worked," Niara breathed. "For now." He checked his compass. "Northwest. Valley entrance is 15 kilometers." "Then we move." They moved. The forest was alive in ways ship life never was, sounds everywhere, movement in the canopy, things watching from the shadows. Kade kept his pistol drawn. Niara matched his pace, her longer legs eating distance despite her weakened state. 4 hours in, they hit the river, fast-moving, deep, no obvious crossing. "We swim," Niara said. Can you?" They swam. The current tried to take them. Kade lost his grip on one pack, watched it disappear downstream. 26 chlorine cartridges gone. They made it across with 40 minutes lost and half their supplies. Niara was shaking when they reached the far bank. Not from cold, from exertion. "Rest," Kade ordered. "No time. 5 minutes." She didn't argue, just collapsed against a tree, breathing hard, working through another cartridge. Kade checked their remaining supplies. 27 cartridges. 3 days' worth at her current usage rate. They had 3 days to cover 3,000 kilometers, infiltrate a black site facility, synthesize an antidote, and escape. The math wasn't working. "We need to move faster," Niara said, reading his expression. "You need to rest more." I can rest when I'm not dying. Niara, Kade. She stood, wobbling but determined. I know the odds. I've known them since Vesper Station, but I'd rather die trying than give up now. He wanted to argue, to make her rest, to somehow fix this. Instead, he helped her stand. Then we run. They ran, kilometers blurred. Forest gave way to hills, hills to mountains. They climbed, scrambled, fell, got up, kept moving. Night fell, they didn't stop. Dawn came, they moved through it. Niara started stumbling on the second day. Kade caught her. Again. Again. I'm sorry, she gasped. Don't. He shifted her weight, taking more of it. You're doing fine. I'm slowing you down. We're doing this together, remember? She laughed. Wet, painful. Together, they reached the valley entrance at sunset on the second day. The choke point Niara had warned about loomed ahead. Narrow passage between cliff walls. Perfect ambush site. I don't see anyone, Kade said, scanning with borrowed optics. They're there. Niara's voice was barely audible. Feel it. She was right. Motion sensors, automated turrets, buried somewhere in the rocks. Can we go around? He asked. No time. She checked her remaining cartridges. 10 left. We go through. That's suicide. So is waiting. She met his eyes. Kade, I have maybe 30 hours left. We're still 50 kilometers from the facility. If we wait, I die anyway. If we trigger those sensors, we die faster. Then we don't trigger them. She pulled his knife. We disable them. How? Your military intelligence. I'm a desperate Kalyri. She smiled. We improvise. They spent 2 hours scouting, finding sensor placement, mapping turret positions, planning approach vectors. Then they moved. Niara went first, using her superior reflexes to slip between motion zones. Kade followed, less graceful but careful. They made it 15 meters before the first turret activated. Down! Kade tackled her sideways as gunfire tore through their previous position. He rolled, came up shooting. One turret went dark. Another activated. Niara threw his knife. It hit the sensor cluster dead center. The turret spun wildly, firing random directions before shutting down. Run! Kade grabbed her hand. They ran, more turrets, more sensors, automated defense systems screaming online. Niara's biology gave her edge, faster reactions, better spatial awareness. She dodged shots Kade couldn't track. He followed her lead, trusting her instincts. They made it through. Barely, Kade's shoulder was bleeding, graze, nothing serious. Niara was favoring her left leg. You hurt, he asked. It'll hold. She inhaled her second-to-last cartridge. How far now? Kade checked the map. 30 kilometers. Maybe less. Then we keep moving. Niara, Kade. She cupped his face. I'm not stopping, not now. We're too close. He kissed her. Hard, desperate. Tasting chlorine and determination and the woman who refused to die quietly. Together, he said. Together. They moved into the night. The facility appeared at dawn on the third day. Massive, sterile, surrounded by security fencing and automated defenses. Niara had 1 cartridge left. There, she pointed with a shaking hand. Biometric access. Section 7, that's where the antidote synthesis happens. How do we get inside? We walk through the front door, she smiled. I'm Kalyri, you're human. We're exactly what the system wants. And if it doesn't work, then we've come 3,000 kilometers for nothing. She inhaled her last cartridge, held it as long as she could. But at least we tried. They approached the entrance. Automated systems came online. Scanning, analyzing. Human male detected. Kalyri female detected. Authorization required. Kade pressed his hand to the panel. Authorization Kade 77 Delta, former military intelligence. Clearance level 7. Verifying. Niara pressed her hand beside his. Kalyri subject detected. Identity, Niara Jaron. Status, research assistant, Dr. Jean Team. Clearance level 4. The system hummed. Processing. Kade held his breath. Authorizations accepted. Access granted. Welcome to Halen IV Medical Research Facility. The door opened. They were in. The interior was sterile. White walls, bright lighting, empty corridors leading deeper. Where? Kade asked. This way, Niara led, moving on memory and instinct. Synthesis lab should be here. A heavy door, another biometric lock. They pressed their hands together against the panel. It chimed. Opened. Inside. Medical equipment, synthesis chambers, database terminals, and in the center, a cryovault labeled Kalyri reversal protocols. Niara stumbled toward it. Kade caught her. I'm okay, she gasped. Just need to access. He helped her to the terminal. Her fingers flew across keys, entering commands, pulling up files. There, she pointed at the screen. Dr. Jean's final research, the treatment protocol. Kade read it. DNA resequencing, targeted viral vector, spore production disablement without host termination. Will it cure you? He asked. It should, but we need to synthesize it. Here. She pulled up the procedure. Requires both our DNA, specific compounds from the vault, and she checked the synthesis time. 6 hours. Do you have 6 hours? She looked at him. Her skin was graying, her breathing labored. The last cartridge was exhausted. No, she said quietly, maybe 3, maybe less. Then we do it fast. Kade, if I start dying before it's ready, you won't. If I do, then I finish it. Synthesize the treatment. Make copies. Get it to your people. He pulled her close. But you're not dying today. She wanted to believe him. He wanted to believe himself. Start the synthesis, he said. I'll get the compounds. They worked. Niara at the terminal, entering parameters, running calculations. Kade in the vault, pulling vials, reading labels, trying not to think about the woman dying behind him. The synthesis chamber hummed to life. 6 hours, Niara said. Starting now, 6 hours. She had 3 at most. Kade returned to her side. What can I do? Stay, her hand found his. Just stay. He stayed. They watched the synthesis progress. 1%, 2%, 5%. Niara's breathing worsened. Her skin turned darker gray. She leaned against him, all her weight, no longer able to sit upright alone. Talk to me, she whispered. Keep me awake. What do you want me to say? Anything. Everything, her eyes closed. Tell me about after, when we don't die. After we don't die. He wrapped his arm around her. We'll take the treatment to your people, show them the truth, give them the choice to be free. And then whatever you want, travel, settle somewhere quiet, start a research program. He pressed his lips to her hair. Anything. And you'll stay? Yes. Why? Because I love you. The words surprised them both. Niara's eyes opened. You love me. Yes. I tried to strangle you. I noticed. I'm dying, not if I can help it. I'm a biological weapon. You're Niara. He cupped her face. You're brilliant and brave, and you saved 200,000 people by running when you could have detonated. You're everything I didn't know I was looking for. Tears tracked down her gray skin. I love you too. I know, arrogant human. Stubborn Kalyri, she smiled. We're a mess. The best kind. They kissed, gentle, careful of her failing state. 20% synthesis. Niara's breathing stuttered, stopped, restarted. Stay with me, Kade begged. Please, just stay. Trying. Her voice was barely sound. So tired. I know, but you have to hold on. 30%. Her eyes closed. Niara, look at me. She didn't respond. Kade checked her pulse. Thready, weak, failing, 40%. He should have had more time. She should have had more time. Don't you dare, he whispered fiercely. Don't you dare die on me now, not when we're this close. Her chest barely moved. 50%. Kade pulled her into his lap, held her like he could keep her soul from slipping away through sheer stubbornness. You promised, he said into her hair. You promised you'd keep me. Remember. Don't break that promise. 60%. Her pulse stuttered. Arya, Kade said desperately. Can you hear me? Static. Then, Captain, yes, I am in orbit. Barely. How long until you can reach the facility? 40 minutes at best speed. However, pursuing vessels are close. I may not get here. I don't care how. He looked at Niara's gray skin. I need emergency medical, now. Acknowledged. Captain, what about passenger Niara? She's dying. Captain, just get here. 70%. Niara's breathing stopped. No. Kade started CPR, chest compressions, breathing into her mouth. No, 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 come on, come on. Nothing. He kept going, compressions, breaths, compressions. 80%, her body convulsed. Once. Violently, the spore precursors. They were activating. Synthesis chamber, Kade gasped. Override, emergency protocols, accelerate synthesis. The terminal beeped. Warning, accelerated synthesis may compromise treatment efficacy. Proceed. Yes. Acknowledged. Accelerating. New completion time, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. He had maybe 5 before the spores fully activated. Kade kept doing CPR, kept breathing for her, kept her heart beating through sheer force. 90%. Her skin started to shimmer. Golden dust rising from her pores. Spores. Arya, Kade shouted. Tell me you're close. 35 minutes, Captain. Too long, 95%. The spores were thickening, filling the air. Kade's eyes watered. His throat burned. He kept going. Compressions, breaths. Stay with me, he begged. Please, Niara, stay. 98%. The spores were everywhere now. His lungs screamed. His vision blurred. 99%. The synthesis chamber chimed. Treatment complete. Kade grabbed the syringe, filled it, plunged it into Niara's arm. The golden dust pulsed, surged, then stopped. Niara's body went rigid, arched, convulsed, then relaxed. Her breathing started, rough, painful, but present. Her eyes opened, purple skin, amber eyes alive. Kade, her voice was raw. I'm here. He pulled her close. I'm here, you're alive, she kissed him, desperate, grateful, tasting like chlorine and hope and survival. When she pulled back, tears streaked both their faces. It worked, she breathed. It worked. And you stayed. I promised, she laughed, cried, held him like she'd never let go. Around them, the golden spores were dissolving. The treatment was working, disabling spore production, purging the xenoforming modifications. She was free. Arya, Kade said, cancel emergency medical. We're okay? Captain, I am detecting. I know, it's handled. He looked at Niara. We're coming home. Acknowledged, Captain, I am pleased. So am I, Niara stood, wobbling but stronger. The gray was fading from her skin. Purple returning, healthy. We need to copy this, she said. The treatment, get it to my people. Already on it. Kade was at the terminal, downloading everything. Research files, synthesis protocols, distribution procedures. And we need to expose who did this, Niara continued. The conspiracy, the poisoning, all of it. Also on it. He pulled data, names, organizations, money trails, everything they'd need to burn the people responsible. And we need to, she paused. What do we need to do? Kade looked at her. At the woman who'd stowed away on his ship, tried to strangle him, and stolen his heart in the process. We need to survive the next 30 minutes while Arya extracts us, he said. Then we change the galaxy, she smiled. Then we change the galaxy. And after you promised me anything I wanted. I did. I want you. She pulled him close. For as long as you'll have me. That's a long time. Good. They kissed while the facility's alarms finally started screaming. Security responding. Automated systems locking down. They didn't care. They'd come 3,000 kilometers. Fought mercenaries. Disabled an arsenal. Survived spore activation and death. They could handle security. Together. Arya landed outside 20 minutes later. They ran for the ship, data drives clutched in hand, treatment protocols secured. Behind them, the facility burned. Kade had made sure of it, evidence destroyed, but copies saved, ready to distribute. The galaxy would know the truth. They broke atmosphere as military ships closed in. Arya juked, weaved, played cat and mouse through orbital space. They jumped to FTL 3 seconds before weapons lock. Free, alive, together. In the crew quarters, Niara collapsed onto the bunk, exhausted but alive. Kade joined her, pulled her close. "We did it," she whispered. "We did it. What now?" "Now we rest. Then we start the real work." "The real work?" "Saving your people, exposing the conspiracy, making sure this never happens again." He kissed her forehead. "Together," she smiled against his chest. "Together." They slept. Outside, the stars waited. And somewhere in the black, a galaxy was about to learn the truth about Kalyri, conspiracy, and the human who'd risked everything to save one dying woman. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight, they'd earned rest. Together. 6 months later, Meridian Station received a data packet. Anonymous. Encrypted. Containing everything. Dr. Jean's research. The modification protocols. The antidote synthesis. Names, organizations, proof of systematic genocide, and one message: we're coming for justice, for truth. For every Kalyri you tried to kill, this is just the beginning. K and N, the galaxy would never be the same.